Neighbor, I don't see it yet, but I know what he told me, and I'm not gonna stop walking until what I see matches what he said. Woo. Y'all sit down, I'm just talking. That's the lesson that gripped me from the life of Abraham. A promise is made to Abraham in chapter 12 about who he would be, who he would bless, who was going to bless him, who he would impact. He was going to be the father of many nations. He was going to make him a great nation. That's in chapter 12. It is not in the next verse or even in the next chapter where he walks into what God promised him. What happens after the declaration of the destiny are tests. First, there was the family test. We had to leave his father's family and go to a land God would show him, and he passed the test. Next, there was the famine test, which he failed because he doubted God and went down to Egypt for help. Next, there was the fellowship test, where he gave Lot the first choice of the pasture land, and he passed the test. Next, there was the fight test, when he defeated the kings, and he passed the test. Next, there was the fortune test, when he said no to the wealth of Sodom, and he passed the test. Then there was the fatherhood test, when Sarah got impatient with God and suggested he go in and sleep with Hagar, and he failed the test. Next, there was the farewell test, where he had to get rid of Ishmael in order to be blessed with his Isaac, and he passed the test. I find it interesting, God, I hope it don't tear this place up, that God kept allowing Abraham to move forward even though he wasn't passing every test. I hope this don't tear this place up. But one of the great lessons I learned from Abraham is that God doesn't kick me to the curb when I fail. One of the great lessons I learned is that when stuff fails, it doesn't make me a failure. Now, some of y'all ain't gonna shout because I know you perfect. You got every I dotted and every T crossed. You came out the womb in perfection. But there are a few of us in here today who can say, I didn't pass every test. Every I is not dotted. Every T is not crossed. And the reason I shout like I shout is because God did not disqualify me when I messed up on some of the tests. Do I have a witness in here who can say I failed some tests, but God kept letting me move forward? You see, in the economy of the kingdom, promotion is not based on perfection. Promotion is based on progress. Okay, see, only church folk want you to be perfect. And where the devil has cut some celebration for us is that we try to wait, do we, until we have perfected something to shout things I used to do, I don't do no more. The devil is a liar. I'm not gonna wait to shout until I don't do it no more. I'm gonna shout because I don't do it as often as I used to. Okay, I'm trying to find the keep it real folk in here who can say, I do it every now and then, but I don't do it as often as I used to. A year ago, I'd have cussed you out. This year, I walked away and cussed under my breath. A year ago, I'd have slapped you in your face. This year, I clenched my fist and walked away. A year ago, I'd have needed Patron to calm down. This year, I looked at the bottle but walked away. So you can wait to shout until you're perfect. I'ma shout because it's better. Shake somebody's hand, tell them, I've got progress. Woo. And Abraham did not pass every test, but God kept moving him forward, test after test. Now, we often miss the real meaning of this text because most of us as preachers, and I've done it before, we stop at the ram in the thicket and Jehovah Jireh, God will provide. That's where we go out, that the Lord will provide. We go to hollering right there, Jehovah Jireh. I'm not suggesting that that's bad. But what I'm suggesting is if you stop there, you miss the message. And the reason I know that is because after Abraham has this revelatory experience that causes him to rename that place, God ain't through talking. And if God's not through talking, the lesson ain't been learned. The text says after the revelation of Jehovah Jireh, the angel comes back to Abraham and speaks to him. Watch this. And what the angel speaks this second time, don't miss it, is a recapitulation of the promise made 10 chapters ago. I don't want you to miss it. What God says is, you weren't ready when I spoke it to you. But 10 chapters later, you have proved to me that you're ready to walk into what I promised you 10 chapters ago. I came to tell somebody you on your last test. And if you can pass the last test, things God spoke to you and visions God showed you, you're going to walk right into it. Here is the key. It takes 10 chapters of preparation before he walks into manifestation. It's not gonna happen overnight. In the kingdom of God, there are no overnight sensations. I'm so tired of these microwave Christians and microwave preachers who just got saved and just got called, and all of a sudden they think they fancy now. No, you got to go through some stuff and let God cultivate in you before you're ready to have everything. 7 years ago, y'all wasn't ready for this. God had it for y'all, but y'all wasn't ready for it. So he had to bring in an E. Dewey Smith and had to do some preaching to grow some folk and had to bring in some more folk. And 7 years later, you have walked into what God had for you 7 years ago. So preacher, how does it happen? And what does this last test look like for me to walk into what God has for me? Just 3 things the text teaches, and I'm gonna be gone. First thing the text is tailored to teach us is that assignments are tied to a place. There is an assignment on everybody's life that's a believer. The preacher is not the only one called to an assignment. Just because you haven't figured yours out does not mean it does not exist. You were born with assignment. That's why nobody is an accident. Because God don't have accidental assignments. However, the fulfillment of assignment is predicated on proper placement. Read the Bible. Everybody that had a calling couldn't fulfill the calling till they got to a place. Joseph had a dream of leadership, but he couldn't fulfill it till he got to Egypt. Place. Jonah had a calling, but he couldn't fulfill it till he got to Nineveh. Place. Ruth left Moab and followed her mother-in-law Naomi, but she couldn't meet Boaz till she got to a place. Esther was raised by Mordecai, but God couldn't use her till he got her in the palace. Place. Assignments are tied to a place. Now here's the part you're not gonna like. You can't choose the place. I got one more for you.